Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I've got a really exciting video and I'm going to be doing my first trimester sort of recap with you. This is a really positive video. I'm just going to be discussing all the symptoms I had, and I know that some people can have it a lot worse than I did, but I'm going to discuss week by week sort of what happened during my first trimester. Now if you haven't checked out my previous video, do go and do that, because that was my pregnancy announcement video, and it's more of a vloggy style video where I am just sort of filming myself going from like each scan, sort of finding out I was pregnant, to going to my first scan and my second scan and so on and so forth, and just giving you updates. And then I also revealed the gender in that video, so do definitely go check that out. I'll also be linking it at the end of this video, and it's just, yeah, a really nice video to sort of watch. And it just sort of, I do discuss some little anxieties in there, and also just the wonderful footage that I got from all the scans, which is just amazing. I love having that particular sort of footage just to look back on, so do go check that video out. And yes, so today I'm going to be doing my first trimester. As I said, it's going to be quite positive. I will be using the word sick a little bit, so if that's triggering for you at all, then I do apologise, but there's not really much else you can do in this sort of trimester than say the word sick. But let's get on. So at around 3 weeks, sort of a week after, I guess, ovulation, I decided to take a pregnancy test. We'd been trying for a while. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to try. It was a bit early. I got one of those clear blue early detection pregnancy tests, and yeah, I was pretty much thinking it was going to be negative because it was too early to test, but it came out positive, and there we go. And then the week after, when my period was supposed to start, I took another test, you know, just to double check, and that again was obviously positive. So yeah, that was sort of the start of our journey. It was very, very early on. I think with my first pregnancy, I didn't find out till I was like five and a half weeks. I waited quite a long time for my missed period just to see if it was just late, but obviously this time round I kind of know my body quite well. I'm normally dead on time for my period, so if it doesn't come, you know, the likelihood is that I'm pregnant. But obviously I tested quite early on this one, so I felt like this trimester was really, really long, just because I'd known for such a long time before we even told anyone. We didn't tell anyone literally until week 12 weeks, so we waited a really long time to even tell anybody, like family. Nobody knew, so it did feel like a really long time. And then I wasn't really having any symptoms at that particular time at all. Around sort of 6 weeks I started to get quite bloated. That is something that I remember from my first pregnancy as well, was just like a lot of bloating. I'm still sort of getting that now, and I find that like in the morning my tummy is semi back to normal. I actually have a much bigger bump this time than I did my first pregnancy. Obviously your body knows what it's doing, it's already been stretched, so the likelihood is that your bump shows sooner on your second pregnancy, and that's definitely the case for me. And I'm, you know, that's absolutely fine, but it was a bit of a shock. I was like, oh my god, I kind of already have a little bump at like sort of 7 weeks. It was like a little bulge, and I was slightly underweight when I sort of became pregnant, so I think my body was just like, do you know what, you need to eat, you need to eat. So I was really hungry all the time, and yeah, I have had to keep eating in order to sort of keep my energy levels up. So around 7 weeks is when I had my first scan, and that might seem really, really early, but I did explain it in my previous video. But in January I was told that I had a cyst on my right ovary, which is completely normal for women to get cysts on their ovaries, but I was getting quite a lot of pain down my right side, and I went and had a scan, and they said you have a cyst, and it was like 6.5 centimeters by 4.5 centimeters. So I mean, I'm not very good at sort of working that out. It was quite sizable, and they just said let's keep an eye on that, because if it gets too big it can burst, and that can be a big problem, so you might need to get it removed. So I went back when I was 7 weeks pregnant, was like the 3 months after I'd had my first scan, and I had to have it checked up again. So I said to the gynecologist, is it okay if you check the baby at the same time, because you're giving me a scan anyway? And she was like, yes, absolutely, we'll have a look and see what's going on. And that was when we first saw our little baby, it was like super tiny, not very much looking like a baby at this point, but it was really, really nice and reassuring. We saw the heartbeat, and that was just so nice. And that was at like 7 weeks, and that was just me going to the gynecologist to check on my cyst, so it wasn't kind of a normal midwife sort of appointment. And then at around 8 weeks or so, I had my first midwife appointment, but that was just like the checking in registry sort of appointment. And now at this stage I was getting quite sore boobs, definitely growing a lot, and yeah, just a little bit uncomfortable. I was kind of always a little bit bloated. Something that I really struggled with actually this sort of first trimester is fatigue, like extreme fatigue. I can't remember it being this bad last time. Maybe it was, I just can't remember. But really tired all the time, to the extent that I just felt like I could sleep all day. Obviously you can't, and when you have a toddler it makes you even more tired, and maybe that's the reason I've been even more tired, because obviously I've been running around after Otto. He doesn't rest very much. He's very active little 2-year-old boy, and he obviously doesn't understand that I'm tired. So yes, very tired. That is one of the sort of the worst symptoms I've had, I think, through this first trimester, so it's really not been that bad. Now, talking about being nauseous, now I know that lots of people worry about being sick like continually throughout like their first trimester and throughout the pregnancy. It can last. Not everyone has that experience. I think that's important. I think people hear these horror stories of people that have this severe morning sickness, and it can be that bad, but it's not necessarily going to happen to you. For me personally, I had, I think around 7 weeks, 7-8 weeks, I was getting Otto ready to go to playgroup, and I just sort of sat there and I was like, whew, I feel really sick, like really nauseated. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I sort of went into my child pose position, because that's the position I go in when I'm in like any kind of discomfort at all. I go into my little child pose and I breathe, because that's just, don't know why, but that's the position that I go if I'm sick at all, like with anything, any pain, any sort of illness. I always like to go in that position. Let me know below if you have a position that you like to go in when you feel unwell, but that's like my position. And I was like, and it was quite severe like feeling. I was like, am I going to be sick? Am I actually going to be sick here? Because I was like, whew, like really breathing. My husband was like, do you want me to take Otto to nursery, because he's working from home at the moment? And I was like, no, because I've got to do the food shop, and I've got to go to town, I've got to get all the food and everything for the week. And it was like a Monday, and I was just like, no, I have to get this stuff done. I can't just lay around. So I just kept breathing, and actually after about 5 minutes it went away completely. It was just like a quick, I feel really ill, and gone. So that was like the sort of first time that happened, and then I was fine. And then around 9-10 weeks into the first trimester, Otto came home from school, and then the next day he was at home with me. We were having a wonderful day. He wasn't really eating, he didn't eat any dinner, and I was a bit like, come on, you have to eat something, you're hardly eaten all day. And he was just like, no, and I was like, okay. You know, you can't really make them eat, but I was like a little bit frustrated, because I was like, come on, you haven't eaten anything. Anyway, about half an hour later, we were sat on the sofa, and he just projectile vomited everywhere on our sofa, on the white rug. It was just like, and it was like a pink colour. I was like, oh my god. And basically there was like a tummy bug going around the sort of play group, which I wasn't aware of at the time. And then so he was really ill that Friday evening, and he slept with me, and we were just sort of up all night dealing with that. And then Saturday I thought everything was gonna sort of be good, because Otto, like, children bounce back. They like, boom, done. I've been ill, I'm good now, let's go. So we were like, the next day he was up and he was playing and he was fine. And then Saturday evening my husband started to get ill, and I was like, oh no. So then he had the bug, and he had that all Saturday night, so I had no sleep on Friday night. I literally had no sleep on Saturday night, because obviously my husband kept going out in and out of bed and was like being very, very ill. And then Sunday came and I was looking after Otto throughout the morning, and then around sort of lunchtime I was like, do you know what, I'm not feeling very well. And I was like, I wonder if it's just pregnancy or if it's this bug. And anyway, by sort of 2 o'clock on that Sunday, I was then being ill and I'd had the bug. And I'm not gonna lie, being pregnant and ill at the same time is not fun. That was not the greatest weekend. I was exhausted already, and then I was being ill. And then, yeah, thankfully Otto was well, and then on Monday he went back to playgroup and I was able to have a rest. But yeah, that was a great week of sort of recovering. And then in week 10, I had another scan with the gynecologist again, because I decided to have a harmony test done. It's completely compulsory. I decided to have it just where they draw the blood. Your blood is really sort of simple, like simple for, like there's no risk to your baby at all. They just take your blood like a blood test and they check for chromosome sort of abnormalities and like Down syndrome, that sort of thing. And they can also tell you the gender, and you can have this done from 10 weeks to like 14 weeks of pregnancy, so you can have it really early on. I had it at around 10 weeks and 5 days, I think I was, when I had my blood test taken. So around 10 weeks I went and had my scan again, because they needed to know the exact size, because it has to be 10 weeks because it can't be earlier. So I had another scan which I had to pay for because it wasn't part of like the midwife program, which is fine. And then we got to see little baby again, and obviously at this stage the baby has grown a lot more. It's amazing. It's super, super amazing how babies grow so fast in your little tummy. Wow, it really, my mind blows when I just think about it. But we had some really nice footage of that. If you want to see like the full footage, do go check out my last video, because yeah, really, really lovely. And then I went and had my blood test done about 5 days afterwards. 4 or 5 days afterwards I went and had the blood test taken, and then about the week after I got my results, and that's when they told me everything was really, really healthy with the baby, and that the gender as well. So that's in my last video. And then on the Monday after that, which is actually when I thought it was 12 weeks and 3 days, 12 weeks and 3 days, I had my 12-week scan, which was booked in, you know, part of like the normal sort of midwife program. And I saw the baby again, had grown a lot more, and everything looked really, really good. Yeah, so that was just like a really nice scan, and I already knew sort of like that the baby was sort of healthy, and I'd already had like a scan a couple of weeks before, and obviously in the 7 weeks, so I was quite confident that that baby would be okay at 12 weeks as well, and the baby was fine. So it was really, really lovely to see the baby. But actually at around 12 weeks I was cooking dinner. We'd been out all sort of afternoon, me and Otto, and I decided, we came home, I put the telly on for him and I started cooking dinner, and I had probably my worst wave of being nauseous at this particular point, where I was just sitting on the kitchen floor going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then I went into my child pose, like, I'm going to be ill, I'm actually going to be ill. My husband was like, are you alright? I was like, no, I'm not okay, I'm actually going to be ill. And he was like, oh, okay. And then I ran to the toilet. I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be ill, I'm going to be ill. And I just sat there on the toilet floor like a, you know, breathing. It was like a real wave of nausea, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be sick. And no, it didn't. About a couple of minutes later it went away completely again. And I do find that if I don't keep eating, like if I just eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, then I feel quite unwell. But if I snack as I go along the day, so then I feel fine, and I mean absolutely fine. Like I have literally no symptoms apart from bloating, where I look like 20 weeks pregnant by the end of the day. Fine, like, you know, and like boob tenderness, but otherwise, you know, I feel good and a bit tired. And yeah, that was like the worst of the sort of sickness that I've had, was that particular moment. And I think it was just because I was hungry and being hungry and pregnant is not a good thing. So if this is your first pregnancy, make sure you keep snacking. Are you gonna, you know, people worry about putting on weight and all that sort of thing when you're pregnant, but your body, if your body needs food, you need to eat, because otherwise you're going to feel really, really bad. And really don't worry about the weight gain that you're going to put on, because baby weighs a lot, your placenta weighs a lot, you have extra blood when you're pregnant, and you know, your boobs are growing, there's just so much going on. You're going to put on some weight, and that's completely normal. Please do not try and starve yourself to not put on too much weight, because that's not good for you or your baby. But anyhow, yeah, that was like week 12, and then sort of I announced that I was pregnant, and that was like the last video. So that was like my whole first trimester, and it was really, really positive. I had like a fine time, apart from being really tired, which I think was probably the hardest thing, which is not having energy. Hasn't quite come back yet, but I do feel a little bit better today. But I don't know if that's because it's actually really sunny outside today. It's 20 degrees. What? I'm so excited. I'm gonna eat lunch outside, I think, today, because it's just amazing. I think that really lifts your spirits, doesn't it, when it's warm and the weather has been pretty bad. So I don't know if that's why I'm feeling quite like yay today, but I am feeling a little bit better today. But I do get this wave of just exhaustion. I have to go and have a lay down and a little nap if I can. If I have like the time to do that, I do it. But otherwise, I've had a really great time. I'm so excited to document this pregnancy, because I said in my last video, these are like my favourite videos to make, and I think this will be my last pregnancy anyway. We're only aiming to have 2 children, so I'm going to try and really absorb it and enjoy it as much as I can. So yes, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know below if you have any other questions that you may have about like the first trimester. If I missed anything that you think, oh, I really wish you'd sort of covered that. Let me know in the comments. I always try and answer comments all the time. And even if I don't like respond like through typing, I always like heart it so that you've now read it. And you know, if you haven't asked a particular question, I always like to make sure that you know that I've seen it, because I always look through my comments. And I just, yeah, let me know below if you have any questions whatsoever. And I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you subscribe and you get part of this community. Love to grow my channel. It's like a real passion of mine. And yeah, and I'll see you in my next one. See you later.